What's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video in the next episode of MotoGP 25 Career Mode 4, part number 8 today, the Aragon Grand Prix. We're coming off the back of a couple of difficult races, really. A 21st in Le Mans, as you can see on the screen, and the last 5 races trend. And then last time out at our home Grand Prix, it wasn't quite the home Grand Prix that we were expecting, and we were struggling with a lot of understeer, and just kind of lacking general pace, really, and we only managed an 8th place at our home round at Silverstone. But we're heading into Aragon. We've obviously got the development, so the team are working on the frame just to make the bike a little bit more agile, trying to just get it turned a little bit better, and we'll hopefully start to see the benefits of that over the next couple of races. We're looking here at the comparison of the teams. Now, I don't really know too much about this and how that works, but I think the closer it is to the center, I want to say, based off comparison of the teams. I might be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I would like to know. But it looks like maybe the closer the graph is to the center, the more kind of better the bike is. I might be wrong, like I say, but yeah, we'll have to just keep an eye on that as we head through the year. But we're heading out now for free practice. Well, practice at the end of Friday to see if we can secure a position in Q2. We should be able to. I kind of like Aragon on the little Moto3 bikes. It's a bit more of a pain on a MotoGP bike, but the Moto3 bike is much better for me here in Aragon. Conditions at the minute, quite cloudy, overcast, but nice and cool, and we should be able to get through no problem. So coming to the end of our first flying lap in practice on the medium tyres, so it's not a quali run for now, with just under half an hour remaining on the clock in this Moto3 practice session. We're going to set the benchmark of a 1:56.409, and I know that there's another second and a bit in that time once we start getting down to the nitty gritty stuff and start pushing on, which we will do on this very lap. And as you can see, halfway round, heading out of turn 11 and down in towards turn number 12, the tricky left-hander with the big brick wall on the left-hand side as we peel out of there. And then by the time we get around to the final corner, we've found another half a second, and it's going to be a 9/10 improvement as we head out of the final corner. So about a second gained, and across the line at 55.499, and we end practice on that time on the medium tyre, and we are fastest by 0.8 of a second. But Joel Kelso, you saw there at the back of the field. So Kelso, compared to his teammate in second, Kelso has really struggled to find the form that he had at the start of this season, where he was battling at the front in Thailand, and since then he's not really been able to deliver. He has made it into Q2 though, along with David Munoz, who topped Q1, Alvaro Carpe, and then Adrian Fernandez on the Leopard Honda also getting inside that all-important top 4 to join that previous top 4 team from practice in qualifying 2, where we are about to start our flying lap at the end of our outlap across the line. 4 minutes and 10 seconds just about remaining on the clock. And let's see what we can do as we head in towards turn number 1. We've broken far too late there off the track, and unfortunately that is the end of that particular lap. So we're going to have to go again with 2 minutes 20 on the clock. It will be our penultimate lap. If we do need another lap, we do have the time, providing we don't do anything stupid and cost ourselves over 2 minutes and 10 seconds. But down in towards turn number 1, much better this time round. Got the bike turned, got it stopped, hit the apex, got on the power, and we've been able to navigate turn 1 this time around. Now through Carlos Checa corner for the second time in this Q2 session, and then powering up the hill towards this tightening turn 4, turn 5 complex. A favourite corner really of mine, this turn 5. You can carry a lot of speed on the way in, not run too far on the way out, and it is just a nice corner where you can make up a lot of time. There is a lot of points around this Aragon circuit where you can make or break your lap. You can find a lot of time, but also if you rush things and you go in a little bit too deep, for example this corkscrew section, if you run in a little bit deep, we weren't too deep, but we were a little bit early, and then we had a big moment and a big slide and onto the green, and thankfully we don't get the lap taken away from us because we were out on the green, but we lost a lot of time on the way out of that chicane. We went in a bit too early. We had to turn in a bit early because I broke a little bit late, so you kind of dart towards the apex if you outbrake yourself, and we kind of did that and then just upset the bike and unsettled the bike, as we change direction. Obviously dropping downhill when the weight is over at the front of the bike, and the back end just came loose and was able to just about get away with that one. But as we head now onto the back straight, another really important corner, this left-hander, we go in a little bit wide and have to kind of stop the bike in the middle of the corner. And as you can see, we were 0.6 of a second under Angel Piqueras in the first sector, and we've come out of the third sector just over 1/10 and a bit. So we've lost a lot of time on this lap. It's been a scruffy lap, really. It's not been the perfect lap that I was hoping for here in Q2. We do have another lap though. We have got 25 seconds left on the clock, so if we don't get pole, and if we lose a bit more time in this final sector, there is another shot at it. But as we cross the line, we find a little bit more time, 0.3 of a second, just under 0.4 of a second, and that should be enough to take pole position here in Aragon. And as we skip on to the result, it is indeed, we deny Angel Piqueras another pole position in this MotoGP 25 career mode. And on Rueda, obviously one of our championship challengers, he will start this race from the second row of the grid, so he is in with a shout here in Aragon. But let's see what we can do as we head into the Grand Prix of Aragon.
Welcome to all you MotoGP fans. Gavin Emmett here, and we are live from Alcagny, ready to bring you the Aragon Grand Prix. In a few moments, we'll move to the main straight to watch the start of the Moto3 race.
Here we go then, it's race time in Aragon, and as you can see, the weather conditions here in Teruel, Spain have turned for the worst. They've turned a bit dark and grey and miserable here at the MotorLand Aragon circuit. Rain is falling ahead of the 8-lap Grand Prix of Aragon in the Moto3 class, but it adds a little bit of unpredictability, adds a bit of uncertainty going into the 8th round of the Moto3 World Championship. This man, Angel Piqueras, will be looking to get right in the mix early doors, as will the man on the front row alongside him as well, Max Quiles, who really is on that level up MTA bike, cementing himself as a bit of a front runner here in the Moto3 World Championship. Rueda starts 4th, Munoz 5th. He will also be looking to get in the mix, and hopefully our teammate, who's starting way down the order as we line up on pole position, will be looking to get in the fight as well. But a little bit of uncertainty ahead of this one in the wet conditions. The wet weather pace isn't too bad in the past. Hopefully that will transcribe into this one too.
Green flag waves from the back of the grid at Aragon. Everything ready for the off. Into first gear, full gas, and off we go.
Here we go then. The attention turns to the red lights at the front of the grid, and we can see what we can do in Aragon as the lights are on, and we are racing in MotorLand Aragon, and it's not a good start. A lot of wheel spin from the back of our NSR 250, but down in towards turn number 1, we're going to relinquish the lead. We're going to relinquish a few positions because we're down into what is P5 as we head through the first couple of corners. We're running wide at turn 2, and Bertele and Ogden are now going to make a move on us and capitalise on that mistake, and they get through to 5th and 6th position. So already we've gone down to 7th position, and we're now in a Brit sandwich because Ogden and Eddie O'Shea have made their way now through on us after a mistake at, again, turn 4, and there's just no grip whatsoever. The bike's sliding out of corners, it's sliding into corners. I've got no front end feel. Every time I hit the brake, I feel like I'm about to lose the front, exactly as you see there at turn 7. As soon as I hit the brake, the front folds, and we are down to P12 at the start of this race, and behind our rival Adrian Fernandez, but we get through on the Leopard Honda with a big move at the inside of turn 8, and hopefully we can just settle down. We've got the traction control right up to number 4, which I've noticed that you kind of have to run a higher traction control mode in the wet conditions compared to previous games. But again, more spin as we head through turn 11, and that allows Fernandez through, but we're going to get later on the brakes, I think, down in towards turn 12. It's tight with our rival. Are we going to get it stopped? We don't quite get it stopped. We've run wide, and Fernandez will come back through, but we're going to do a bit of natural bike dancing and a switchback on the inside of the Spaniard, and we do eventually get back through to P11 and on the back of this group in towards the top 10. But there is a bit of changeable weather incoming, and it is starting to not dry out, but the rain falling is significantly less now than what it was at the start of this Grand Prix, at the start of this race. We're only coming to the end of lap number 1, and we are side by side with Adrian Fernandez into the final corner, turn 16. We get the bike just about turned in up the inside of Fernandez, but a little bit wide in the middle, and he's going to come back at us, but we're going to lean across the front of him, try and block that line with our body, but that then brings Alvaro Carpe as well into the mix, and Rucci Moodley waiting there as well in P14. So we do just about maintain that one. Later on the brakes into turn 1, we're starting to get a little bit of feeling now from the medium front and rear wet tyres of this Moto3 bike, and we can now try and start to make a couple of moves forward as we skip onto the end of lap number 2. A lot of pumping from the rear as we try and get the traction and the power down onto this back straight, and Fernandez is gonna, his eyes are gonna light up there as he blasts his way down the inside. But we are quite equally matched. We noticed the Leopard Honda engine power is a little bit down compared to ours, so they aren't looking at developing the engine on their Honda at this moment in time, whereas we have put a bit of we've kind of spread our eggs across the baskets of the engine and the frame, so our bike is a little bit more balanced, it seems, compared to some of the other riders. And at the end of lap number 2, a 2:06.243 marks the fastest lap of the race and of our race, as we get a big move up the inside of Furusato. We were nowhere near the back of the Japanese rider on that 658 Quadricorsa bike, and we just found the gap on the inside and make our way up into the top 10. Next man on our list is his teammate Stefano Nepper, and then Noah Detweiler having a strong result, a strong ride, should I say, on the CIP bike. He is behind Eddie O'Shea and his teammate Ogden, who is getting in the fight as well, with Matteo Bertelli on the level up MTA bike. But we're going to now try and line up a move here up the inside of Nepper and Eddie O'Shea down the inside. Detweiler shuts the door on us, and that got very, very close to being a bit of contact there with him. But as we now head into the corkscrew, looking at Rueda, who's gone down. Rueda's crashed out of the race. Our championship rival is down and out of the Aragon Grand Prix. That is absolutely huge in the Moto3 World Championship, because Piqueras, who currently runs second, will take the lead of the standings. It will take the lead of the standings, and it's a perfect opportunity for us to take some points off Rueda too. But now we're going to try and make some progress now off the back of that. We go up the inside of Detweiler and Nepper, but there's no way that we're stopping that one, and we have to give them positions back as we run wide on the exit of turn 12. But here's Jacob Rolstone further back on the same lap that Rueda goes down. He crashes out of the race. But let's take a little look at this one. On board with Piqueras down into the corkscrew, the reverse corkscrew, and there is just no chance of saving it. The front end went from Rueda, and he was down and out in a flash. But as we skip onto lap number 4 now, you can see it is visibly getting a lot drier here in Aragon. So the track conditions starting to come back to us. We are 2 seconds underneath our fastest lap of the race as we head onto the back straight. So weather conditions improving lap by lap, corner by corner, and we do get through on Detweiler in the process, but he's going to come back at us on the CIP Green Power Machine bike. He's going to get through. We're going to go wide though on the way into the final corner, maybe look to go around the outside, but instead we're going to just brake a little bit harder and a little bit longer, and then switch back up the inside of Detweiler into the final section of that long left-hander to end the lap, side by side with the CIP bike, and across the line we do get through just about, not quite. The CIP KTM has a little bit more legs, but we are better on the brakes down the inside, and we do get through and up into P6, but we do pick up a track limits warning in the process, running a little bit wide on the exit of turn number 1. But that doesn't matter for now, because we are through, and look who's followed us through as well. Scott Ogden and our rival Adrian Fernandez on the Leopard Honda making progress now. But we do have just under a second to make up as somebody else crashes out of the race. But let's just look back at the minute to Dennis Foggia. This is Foggia right at the back of the grid, and I look through and there's no real reason for him being there other than he is just that slow. But back at the front, this is a battle now brewing nicely between Piqueras and Munoz, 2 championship contenders. Max Quiles there in 3rd position, with Bertelli, his teammate, right up behind. So a little bit of teamwork potentially on the cards for the MTA bikes. But as we come out of that left-hander, pick up the action once again, it was Gino Pini crashing out on the Dynavolt bike. He is down and out of the race. We should get a look at that in a little while, but down into the reverse corkscrew for the 5th time. You can see we're not really gaining all that much as it stands on this leading group, but through the corkscrew, as they all bunch up and jockey for position, we gain a couple of tenths there, and now we are into the slipstream of this group, and we can try and make some moves forward as we head towards turn number 12. The track continuing to dry, but it shouldn't be a problem.
Like this, and the officials are waving the red flag.
No! The race has been red flagged on lap number 5 of the Aragon Grand Prix. Should it be red flagged if it's starting a wet race and it dries up? I don't think in the rules it is. I might be wrong, but I don't see how that race should have been red flagged with 2 laps to go on the wet tyres on the dry track. It's not like it's dangerous, but unfortunately race direction brought an early end to the race, and it's going to be P6 for us in the Aragon Grand Prix. Angel Piqueras takes the win ahead of David Munoz, 16 thousandths of a second between the two of them. Max Quiles rounding out the podium with Bertelli and Nepper completing the top 5, but it does mean that Angel Piqueras takes the championship lead by 1 single point. We sit in 3rd with 15 points behind Piqueras, 14 gained on Rueda thanks to that 6th place for us. Max Quiles moves up 1 behind Munoz, who jumps up 3 as well. Foggia down to 6th, Bertelli up to 7th place, and Kelso, after his strong start to the season, he's dropped down to 8th place on 61 points. Adrian Fernandez down to 9th, and Alvaro Carpe rounding out the top 10. Our teammate, well, he's made it up to 15th position, and Scott Ogden with a good result there as well, moving up to 17th place. He's locked in a battle, 1 point separating him and fellow Brit Eddie O'Shea in 17th and 18th place, and Rucci Moodley rounding out the field in 26th place with 7 points to his name for the South African. In the Teams Championship, Red Bull KTM IO take a bit of a hit, and the gap comes down to 12 points to the MSI team. The MTA bike sitting pretty in 3rd, and we sit in P4 at the end of the Aragon Grand Prix. A shortened Aragon Grand Prix that brought an early end to our charge, and it's a shame because I think we might have had a say at the race victory there. I don't want to speak too soon. I don't want to say something that, you know, it might backfire, but I think in that moment we had the pace to win the Aragon Grand Prix, but unfortunately it wasn't to be, and it was a P6 when the red flag came out. I should have maybe tried to just get through the pack a little bit quicker, but it took a little bit longer in the full wet conditions to get up to speed and up to grips with things, which leads us nicely onto the track engineer, because we're going to relay that information back to the engineers. The first couple of laps in the wet conditions were absolutely atrocious. We had no feeling. We were spinning everywhere. There was nothing when we turned in. There was nothing when we hit the brakes. Everything felt floaty and just really, really nasty, to be honest, on that Moto3 bike at that stage of the race. So we're going to go and develop the frame a little bit further in this one, and then we're going to look at, I think, I can't remember if I picked agility or cornering, but we're going to find out shortly. Agility, it looks like we're going to be picking. No, we're going back to cornering. We did pick cornering. That is after watching this race back, I would agree with that decision as well. So well done past me for picking the right one there. But there we go. That is going to conclude round number 8 of the Moto3 World Championship. And again, we can't get ourselves back on the podium. A 21st place after a crash in Le Mans, an 8th place at Silverstone, and a 6th place in Aragon. Our last podium coming at Jerez quite a long time ago, but it's now time to choose our path and where we want to go for the future. There's no options currently in Moto2, so we're going to have to look at maybe staying in the Moto3 World Championship, and the obvious choice will be Rueda and the Red Bull KTM team. We've got a couple of rivalry options to choose. We've got the development side of things, which looks like Adrian Fernandez, Angel Piqueras in the middle, and Joel Kelso on the right. And as we are going to try and target a ride with the Red Bull IO squad, we're going to pick Joel Kelso for that challenge. Now, the reason that we're looking at the IO squad is quite self-explanatory. There is an option for the Moto2 team, and then it opens up a door for MotoGP as well. Although with the Tech 3 challenge, maybe we don't want to look at doing a career mode with the KTM squad as well, but we'll have to just wait and see how the season develops over the course of the next couple of seasons. So there we go. That is it for round number 8 and the Aragon Grand Prix. All in all, a little bit of a disappointment, but results elsewhere with Jose Antonio Rueda crashing out of the race from that podium position brings us back into contention of the Moto3 World Championship. So until the next episode of Mugello, I will see you guys then. Take care, and I will see you in Italy for round number 9. So until then, goodbye.